monetary policy has also contributed immensely to the minimization of the influence of money in politics. This is a positive departure from the past and represents a bold legacy step by this administration towards laying a strong foundation for free and fair elections. I urge every citizen, therefore, to go out to vote for their candidates of choice without fear, because security shall be provided and your vote shall count. I, however, admonish you to eschew violence and avoid actions capable of disrupting the electoral processes. I wish us all a successful general elections. Thank you for listening. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that's the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria there in that State of the Nation address, speaking on the Naira Redesign policy of the CBN. What many people have described as one of the most resolute and one of the most resolute and sort of best speech reading or address by the president since he took power in 2015. I don't know what you make of that. I'll be joined in. I'll bring you in shortly, but before then, I'll bring in my guest, who's going to be joining us first in the conversation. Titus Gado, a sociologist by training, who's going to be joining us to discuss this. In a few minutes, we'll bring him in. But let's get on to talk to you first. Join in 09073530044 and 09087668888. One of the takeaways from that speech by the president is, one, the old 200 Naira notes would continue or would be recirculated. You also, if you have the old 1000 Naira and the 500 Naira notes, you can deposit them with the CBN. The president has gone on to own the policy and say, I authorized this. I approved this. For those who have been, calling on naming the CBN governor, the CBN governor is one person who has taken more hits than anyone else since the policy came to be. Well, I hope that I have my guest in now. Let's see that we have him joining the conversation. It's becoming more trouble here now. Okay, I'm hoping that we would be able to join in with him and discuss this. Okay, join now 09073530044 and 09087668888. That is 09087668888 and 09073530044. Seems like we're having a bit of technical glitches here getting my guest in. Okay, seems like we'll just have to improvise. I'm trying to improvise now and get my guest in the conversation. Titus, good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us. Can Titus hear me? Okay. Let's bring in a caller first. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr.
Good morning. Haruna, is that you?
Yeah, you got me right. Haruna on the line.
Good to have you, Comrade Haruna. Let's hear you.
I think this speech will bring a relief to Nigerians, because by the circulation of that note, people will be able to solve some of their problems. But there's one area I think I would say I'm not seeing the effect, like the issue of loan and what is it called, the charges. I'm not seeing that taking effect in the banks. You understand? Because you apply for a loan today, the interest rate is something less. maybe they are not feeding him on the right news about that. But I just pray between now and next week we'll be able to see a flow of cash, people queuing up in the banks and flipping on the ATMs will reduce drastically. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If you listen to that address, the president was talking about, having the security agents and the prosecution of those who are inflicting pains on Nigerians, including what he referred to as scrupulous elements in the banking industry. Titus Gado, good morning, and thank you again for joining us. I hope that you can hear me now. Titus, can you hear me? Seems like we still have that technical problem. I hope to resolve that quickly. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, I greet you. Good morning, sir.
I greet you too. Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Mr. Bernice. Yeah, Joe, I don't see reason why this policy is a problem to Nigeria. Me personally, I love the policy so much. But the angle I'm angry is that we are not seeing the 20,000 naira CBN promised to us on a daily basis. CBN said we are entitled to 20,000 naira from the US on a daily basis for 5 days in a week. You understand? Having that one is available, I think it will ease the suffering of the people. Because I don't see reason why you make your money legitimately, you're afraid of taking your money to the bank. Once you take your money to the bank, the credit is in your account. Every minute you open your phone, you see your account balance. If you do any transaction, you transfer or use your ATM card to do your transfer. Then when you need little cash to spend for little market in the street, you go to the ATM, cash your 20,000 naira, do your domestic shopping. I don't see anything wrong with the policy. It's a very fine policy. But my point is that the politicians felt the policy was targeted at them and decided to hijack the policy itself, making it so difficult for Nigerians to have access to their money. And the PS CBN governor is threatening to arrest. Well, the charges is exorbitant. Although they go through hell before they get money. Because I have a PS, and the guy running the PS go through hell. Sometimes sleep in the ATM machine just to get money. You understand? The other time around 11 when there is about 100 and something in number. He came back around after 2 in the morning. The number, they have already scattered out the line. So they go through a lot of hell in getting this money. But having the money is available over the counter, I think it will ease the suffering of the PS guys.
Okay.
And also he's suffering. Right. Getting me?
Yes.
But the charges the charges to me is exorbitant.
Okay.
If it's 500 for 5,000, it's still affordable. But 1,500, 2,000 and 1,000 for 5,000 naira is so much exorbitant. Because all of us are in this country and we're bearing the pains as well. But in terms of the policy, honestly, I love it. And this is anything Mr. Buhari has done that I give him kudos for.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sonny the Prince. All right, I have Titus Gado joining us now. Titus, good morning, and thank you very much for joining the conversation this morning. Titus, can you hear me? What's happening this morning? I don't understand it. Titus Gado, are you with us? All right, I'll bring in another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm very well. What's your name, please?
How is your sir?
What's your name? What's your name, please?
Oh, my name is Unity from Kaduna State.
Unity from Kaduna. Good to have you join us. Let's hear you, please.
Yeah, honestly.
Uh-oh. Well, let's connection with Unity. We'll try to reconnect with him or, have him call back if you can. Please call back while we try to reconnect with my guest again this morning. The conversation continues. We've been talking about the president and the speech, the address he made earlier this morning. Titus Gado, good morning. Titus, can you hear me? Uh-oh. I really don't get this. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Friday. Good to have you.
Yes, Friday. Calling from Cuba. Happy New Year. God bless you.
I wish you the same. Go ahead. Let's hear you quickly.
You see, God will continue to save Nigeria in Jesus' name. You see, people say they love, they love the policy, and the policy didn't certain blow in the street. It didn't certain the blow in the bank. A lot of people are doing that because of the policy. The Bible says any man that wants to build a house, he not sit down, can the cost. He's going to end somewhere. You're going to end at the end of the day, you not build the house well or something happens. Now see the policy. Why not sit down and tell the policy, okay, then me just make the policy so that this money can be free for maybe for a long time. I remember when we are changing no the person we were changing in Nigeria. We were changing the 20 from the normal note to listen that we are using today. The Naira. People did not know them their money. Now, see what the Mr. President had said today. That 200 Naira only will continue since 60 days. How many 200 Naira will you to say they are the old one? They have to see. So you don't choose the money that what you to see 500 and 1,000 is many. If they want to make the point, why no woman is paying the more to the more 100 Naira? The policy. This policy use of 1980 or 1984, people saw for it, and the people were shouting, saying they're going to suffer. And now, see what's happening in Nigeria now. A lot of farms being burned down.
Thank you.
And the CBN government tell us, I think the last 3 weeks ago, that anybody who has the whole money, don't think they're going to lose your money. You can take the money to CBN, very CBN, the branches, and they have to collect it. A lot of people took their money today to CBN and they not collect. Which type of country are we? And some people say love the policy, and police being shooting people yesterday. Some people are being died because of this policy.
Friday,
and I'm not going to die.
All right, thank you very much. You're not going to die.
How am I going to do?
Thank you again, Friday. I'd have to let you go now. Let's see that we can have speak to my guest. Titus, good morning again. Thank you for joining in. Titus, can you hear me? This is really bad. Not a good way to have a show. Right, seems like we'd have to, put that on hold for now. Hello, good morning. Oh, just a lot happening. Hello, good morning. Okay, difficult moments. And on a difficult morning. Anyway, we'll be talking more in a bit. I'll try to sort out these technical difficulties because at the moment you can't even take calls. It's hard to get the calls in when you call in. We find it hard to take your call. Hello, good morning. All right, that one also went flat. The conversation continues. This is your radio experience you can count on. We'll be talking more with my guest, Professor Ken Ife is going to be joining us shortly. Keep the conversation going. You can send a message to 090-9705-4450. That is 090-9705-4450. Team from Lagos says, good morning, Prince Ihanacho. Prince, this is the first time Buhari is acting like President Buhari since 2015. Those bullion vans that missed their way into some people's houses with 500 Naira and 1,000 Naira old notes for vote buying shall soon be rendered useless. Hashtag I stand with the CBN. Alright, there's a lot of people who are standing with CBN these days. Some people loving the policy. Good morning, my prince. You're doing a great job. More wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to you, sir. Respect to you. Samuel from Airport Road sent that one in. Samuel, appreciate you and thank you very much for the words of encouragement. Okay, we'll be talking more with my guest. I'll bring him in shortly. Just keep it with us.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
If you wait till you want buy but you don't get money, microwave, TV, I mean you want pay never bill. Download Yangabi from any online store. With 100 Naira, fund your wallet. Choose a plan for your gate pass. Start spinning and winning. The player with the highest number wins the bid. Anything when you want buy, you can bid it and win it. Yangabi, Nigeria's online marketplace.
You can call us on 091 3000 2014 091 3000 2014.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja. Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
And the conversation continues. Thank you for staying with us. This is Eagles 102.3, your radio experience you can count on. And this morning we're talking about the President and State of the Nation's address, where he talked about the new Naira redesign, or the Naira redesign policy of the CBN, owning it and saying he authorized it, he approved it. He goes on to say, well, the 200 Naira, the old 200 Naira notes is ordered to be recirculated by the CBN from now till the 10th of April. It remains legal tender, but the old 500 and 1000 Naira notes would be gone. Now, this leaves us wondering what the pronouncements by the Supreme Court last week, that's the 8th of February. This leaves us wondering where we are. If the president coming out now to say, look, Supreme Court, you have to fall in line with what I'm saying, or what my policies are. What is it? What other effects will this have on the economy? We're joined in by a development economist, Professor Ken Ife, one who has seen it all, done it all. I can't go on to reel out, some of the feathers to his cap, but just because, just to keep the conversation a little short and precise. Professor Ken, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you for having me. Good morning.
I'm glad we have you join us. Now, Professor, listening to President Muhammadu Buhari this morning speak on the policy, what was as a development economist, as an economist in general, what was the first thing that came to your mind, looking at how this whole policy implementation has played out in the last couple of days?
The first thing that comes to my mind is, here is a president that says this policy is at my behest. I approved it. I'm aware of it. I approved it. And actually, he went ahead to justify the major thrust of the policy. He says it is my master stroke on the fight against corruption, against money laundering, against vote buying, and against terrorism. That is his grand strategy. However, he has listened to the impact of the delivery on the common man and has to intervene and says, I want to target the common man and alleviate their suffering by releasing the 200 Naira notes back into the community to enable them to do those small things that they do and not infringe the integrity of the what do you call it, the informal traders. So he's actually addressing the informal part of our community to ensure that they are not squeezed out financially. So that's what I pick from all of that.
Well,
and go on.
Yeah, so the people who have criticized the policy in general and said this is a no-brainer. It doesn't make sense to have the old notes just go away. Some people are saying, oh, we don't criticize the policy in totality. The policy is a good one, but implementation has been quite bad. Looking at the situation just yesterday, 3 people lost their lives. There were protests in several states, and also there's a case at the Supreme Court where a few governors have come out, about 9 of them now, joining the initial 3 states, Kogi, Kaduna, and Zamfara, that took the federal government to the Supreme Court. All of this is playing out within this space of time. The elections is just 9 days away. The president also acknowledged the fact that this would also help curb the electoral malpractices and all. As an economist, what adverse effects or what effects would this have on the economy, judging by the fact as well that the National Bureau of Statistics also just released the inflation figures for January, which has gone up 21.8% or so, 87%. What do you make of all of this as an economist?
Well, a few things come to me. First of all, my heart goes out to those who have lost their lives and those who are experiencing any form of difficulties and challenges. And I think we all have to own up to the fact that it could have been executed in a much better way. But there are many blames that are out there on all the gladiators in the field. So everybody has a share of the blame. But on the economic side of it, there are actually 4 major areas of analysis, if you wanted to. That one is on the monetary policy. 2 is on the legal implication. Then 3 is on the politics, and political economy is number 4. So if I can sort of restrict myself to those, if you look at the monetary politics, the monetary policy perspective, the monetary policy aggregate, the monetary aggregate never foresaw that 3.3 trillion money would be, naira would be in circulation, and 80% of it is hiding somewhere outside the money system, after the banking system. He never envisaged that. What they did, because this is the instrument that the central bank uses to augment or control monetary policy. That is their main instrument, because that is what they use mainly on price stability. And so when you call a central bank to play their role on many other things, including, of course, control of inflation, you find that they are powerless to do anything when over 80% of the money that they would have been using to contract the economy and expand the economy is just not there within their orbit. So transmission of monetary policy is such a big challenge. And so what happens is this, from a layman's point of view, if 2.7 trillion is being kept out, the questions we'll ask is, if this money came back to the bank and went to bank deposit, they could have earned 5 to 10% profit interest. If it went to buy some of the treasury bills that are 100% guaranteed, they could be earning 15% interest. But when they do that and be waiting to get their interest, the bank can now use that money to lend to people and businesses to create jobs, millions of jobs, and then the economy keeps ticking. But that's not what is happening. So it's important to get this thing back into the system. That's one. And also it masks the volume of the illicit economy. Because you don't know how much of the fake loans are also in circulation. Well, anyway, keep that aside. Then you come to the issue, still in the economic side, you come to the issue of how does it affect inflation. The way it affects inflation is that central bank wants to contract the money available, it then issues, it uses cash, open market operation and other instruments to take money back, and then when they feel that there isn't enough in circulation, then they will sell. So but that doesn't have any effect. And then now listen to what happens next. In an attempt to try to squeeze the money circulation out, they raise interest rate, that base rate. They raise the base rate, and the base rate is a benchmark. So the banks put their interest on top of the benchmark. Now the benchmark is 18.5%. So banks will now be lending about 30%. So what happens in effect is that the banks have small money in their possession, and because that money, remember, the banks have put 30% of their money in cash reserve ratio, like 32.5% in cash reserve ratio. That means 32.5% of their money is held in central banks, not earning the main interest. They also are obliged to keep 30% as liquidity ratio, so they can lend that. So how much is left with them? Very little. And they also have a loan to deposit ratio that has been elevated to 60%. So then what happens is the very small cash with them, they will now have to charge exorbitant rate, and that doesn't help the economy. But if all the other monies were in, they could lower their lending rates. So you can see how we are all fighting. Then you go to the forex regime. It is the money that is out there that they are using to speculate on Nigerian currency. So if you want to sell dollar to 900, the money to buy it is out there in the system. They will buy it, and then they will use it to import goods to come in here and pass through, have an inflation pass through. So you can see that control of inflation in wherever you come from is big challenge. And not to even talk about other aspects of the quantum of that money. Some of them are money laundered, some of them are money being held out for political purposes, some are the money that the terrorists are extracting from people in hundreds of millions, and nobody tells you all the story about how much they paid. So you've got a huge money there that need to be sanitized. So you can see the impact of that on the economy. All right. You come to the other area, like the illegal. The illegal is all there. You can't really talk about it. It will be sub judice. But the key issues for determination is jurisdictional history. Why don't they bring in central bank and commercial banks into the suit, which would have addressed, but those, obviously, the first thing that Supreme Court will consider is jurisdiction. So it may feel challenged in jurisdictional aspect. But then again, there's a second area about the CBN Act and how independent the CBN versus the others being made. I don't know. Those are other matter for the court. Then you come to the politics and the role of money in politics. Now, as far as from what the president says, is that the country has for so long been held hostage to the role of money in politics. So money tends to determine who actually gets in there. So he wants to minimize that and then make sure that people just go out and vote. And so that is, that vote buying is a critical factor in deciding who lose the country. So he just wants his legacy to be one person that stopped it or actually reduced it to minimum. Then you have the political economy factor where you are saying, the impact on why is it that so much has been released to the banks and so little has been issued out? And then you have all these revolving issues about the hoarding of the money in the banking system, also the hoarding of the money from those who have collected them. What is going on? And how does politics play into that? And that's the political economy side of it. So all of these are things that are out there. Inflation you mentioned, yes, there was an inflation, a drop in inflation last month in December. And then there's also a small uptick. It's a very small uptick. It's 40 something basis point, so 0 point. It's a small uptick. But you have to understand that inflation aggregate by looking at rural inflation, urban inflation, food basket sub index, because you still have the food picking up. But don't forget that the petrol, unavailability of petrol pushes inflation very high, and that is what is have actually accounted for that small uptick, because it pushes the cost of production. If you are going to queue up to get fuel, how can you now run your generator? How can you produce? If the man that is producing and selling and all that stays in the queue for so long and pays a lot more, like 500 naira or 400 naira, that pushes the cost. So that on its own alone accounts for the increase in the inflation. And then of course you always see a drop in food sub-basket index, showing that there's food supply. But then at the far end of it, you are going to say, what's going on in the market? The inflation is actually not, the food inflation in the market is not the issue, because people are buying for less because they can't actually find the cash. So things are, in a way a little cheaper because you can't find the cash. So when I go to market yesterday, 2 days ago, 4 days ago, I'm having to get a lot more than I would have had to buy. So maybe it's a business in disguise, but nothing can explain away people's difficulties and hardship, and I really feel terrible about it.
All right. Do you think that the recirculation of the 200 naira notes or the old 200 naira notes would ease this suffering of Nigerians?
No, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It means that you can now forget about the queue in the ATM, go to the bank and say, give me 50,000 naira you said I'm entitled to have in my 200 naira note, and they should give it to you, the old note. So you can just go and take any amount you want in your old note. So life returns to normal. All right. For the great majority that are the cause of concern to all of us, because the people that you are seeing queuing up in the queue are ordinary Nigerians. The people that they are queuing up to collect 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira. They don't need to queue up anymore for that. You can just walk into your bank and say, give me what I'm entitled to, and then you get it from the 200,000 naira, the 200 naira, and then you go about your business. So I think it will immediately dissolve the queue because the big man that has stacks of money does not need to go and queue up to get the 10,000 naira or 20,000 naira. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'll be surprised if tomorrow I see any queue, because they should be going into their bank now to receive old notes for whatever they're entitled to.
All right, the conversation continues. Having listened to you, I'm guessing that maybe there might be a change of opinions on the minds of many other Nigerians who are listening. 09073530044 and 09087668888 are the numbers to call to be a part of the conversation. We've been speaking with Professor Ken Ife, a development economist of many hats as well. He wears many hats as an economist, as a professor. We would be joined in by this caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, yeah, good morning.
Good morning, Okui. Good to have you.
Yeah, I greet you, guys.
Thank you very much.
I hear from Mr. President this morning concerning the new Naira notes and 500 and 1,000. Nigerians are reaping what they are showing in 2015. I want to say kudos to Nigerians, those that vote Buhari in 2015. We are reaping what we are showing. It's not a new something. Congratulations. Thank you so much. This is my comment.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Okui. Let's bring in another caller quickly before we get back to my guest and then wrap the conversation up this morning. Feel free to join in 09073530044 and 09087668888. SMS and WhatsApp messages are welcome on 09097054450. Hello, good morning. Okay. Another difficulty there, trying to get that caller in. But anyway, let's see. There's a message here. And okay, I think we took this earlier. Okay, Prof, looking at this and the legacy statement by President Buhari, I'd love to read paragraph 21 of his of that speech or address, where he says, fellow citizens, on the 25th of February 2023, the nation will be electing a new president and National Assembly members. I am aware that the new monetary policy has also contributed immensely to the minimization of the influence of money in politics. And then he goes on to say, this is a positive departure from the past and represents a bold legacy step by this administration towards laying a strong foundation for free and fair elections. Now, many Nigerians also believe that with this new policy, the people who we're talking about, who have the money bags in politics, already have these new currencies somehow, and they're ready to buy votes with the new currency. So do you think that this policy actually would cut down on vote buying as it is?
It will go a long way, because what happens is that you may now buy the votes with dollars, with a lot of 200 naira old notes, and then with some of the new notes, 500, 200 and 1,000. But what you may not have is those old notes that are out there in 500 and 1,000 denominations may not actually be used for vote buying. The chances are that you may offer them to people and they may refuse to take it and ask you to give them the ones that they can. Just like if you go to market yesterday, most markets are not accepting the old notes. But with the president's speech now, the markets will all start accepting 200 old notes. So if you're actually paying somebody for a service that he has done for you, there is a chance that they may not accept the 500 and 1,000 old notes. So those who are carrying them may in a way get stuck, in the sense that they may, unless they take it back to central bank to absorb, and then they can go to their bank and get the new notes and old notes. That is all on record. Otherwise it will be very tough. Because I understand that above 500 billion naira old notes are still out there, yet to come back. I'm not sure, but that's what I hear.
Okay, Professor Ken, in 1 minute, looking at the volume of the new notes as we hear was printed about 500 billion out of the 3.3 trillion naira said to be in circulation, do you think that it makes economic sense to print such a volume of the new notes when in actual sense there's more money in circulation? Help us understand this as an economist, if you can, within the shortest possible time.
Yeah, ideally, if we are all using electronic mode of transfer, the 500 billion should be enough. If most people are using, because I have been shopping for a month and I haven't had a need to use cash. But there are many people. That is, if everybody, but not everybody is in the banking system. Not everybody have the electronic means of transportation. But not everybody has mobile phone. Even though you can use USD code to do these transfers. But what I think is that maybe the 500 billion may not quite be enough. We should be heading to about 1 trillion. That's in my own honest view. Because if you are looking at 3.3, maybe 1 trillion should be it. While we continue to have a big drift into the cashless platform. That's my own honest view. But I know that the central bank is committed to printing more notes, and then that's what has the big master stroke now is release that 200 so that the bottom of the pyramid doesn't feel stitched up. The pressure to get cash from the cash point will vaporize away, because those people, if you are going to come and queue for 10,000 naira and 2,000 naira and 5,000 naira, it means that we are not the key target of this policy. So releasing the 200 notes, is just going to take that queue away from the ATMs and in the banks, because a lot of their money will be collected immediately from the banking sector.
All right, Professor Ken Ife, development economist, talking with us this morning. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining in the conversation on the side.
Thank you.
Have an amazing day. And well, this is where we'll have to drop the anchors on the program this morning. You've heard it. The president has said 200 naira notes would continue to circulate from now till the 10th of April, and it would remain legal tender within that period. But the old 1,500 naira notes would have to go to the CBN. Go deposit them there if you have it, and follow the guidelines by the CBN. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation this morning. My name is Iheanacho Prince. Business News is up next.